the bicycle. Revolutionary in its time, of course. But then we added electricity. Oh, my word! You see, it's great fun, pretty eco-friendly, but there again, we humans, we don't like to rest on our laurels, do we? Yeah? We want more, yes! We are relentless pioneers. We push, we strive. We want to be the biggest, the best, the fastest. Just look at this. It is fully electric. This is planet-friendly super performance. I mean, just imagine if your home was built to those kind of standards. Now that could really take off. A London-based environmental consultant, Duncan runs a company that takes contaminated land,
That's not good.
like this old fuel storage yard, and cleans it up.
It did smell a little bit fruity, didn't it?
Yeah.
I started doing this because I care about how we treat the planet. And hopefully, we do make the world a little bit cleaner and a little bit better.
His partner, Liz, also deals with toxic situations, but of a very different kind. She's a top divorce lawyer whose clients have included Diana, Princess of Wales, and Bernie Ecclestone's wife, Slavica. So she's gained some notoriety.
I've been referred to as the terrier, I've been referred to as the poisonous dwarf, the gnome from hell. Honestly, if someone's being rude about me, I just think I'm doing my job. But for every inch of me that is pushy and doesn't give up, there are about 20 foot of Duncan that is pushy and doesn't give up even more.
They'll need all that gumption for their radical self-build. They bought this North Cotswolds plot 3 years ago. It came with plans for a revolutionary eco-home, potentially a UK first.
For me, that is just so exciting, but it's going to be quite daunting. I've never built a house before, and I'm kind of starting at the extreme end by building an incredibly complicated house, and it might just not work.
For this job, I'm going to be the client and Duncan's the project manager. So it's going to be interesting to see how we work that one out between the two of us.
Especially as Duncan will leave their London terrace to live near site, leaving Liz dependent on his updates.
So do you think we'll still be talking at the end of it, Liz?
If we're still talking at the end of the week, it's going to be a miracle.
That'd be closer to the truth, that's for sure.
Oh, I think it's going to be quite challenging.
It is the most combative of relationships.
Banter aside, living together in this Cotswold village is their goal. Hello.
Hello.
It's very, very quiet.
It's very, very pretty.
And what brought you here? Have you been here long?
We were looking for a project for 3 years.
You were looking for a project, I was looking for a home.
You were looking for a project because that's what you do, being an engineer, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, and you were looking for somewhere to live, simple
Yes,
as that.
sorry to put my furniture.
Yeah.
And when we came here, we thought this just felt right.
Duncan and Liz's plot is a short stroll. They spent years fighting the planners to adapt an inherited design.
So this is the site, Kevin.
I love the plot,
So what we're trying to build is the UK's first Passive House premium house.
but what's Passive House Premium?
So Passive House is all about being thermally efficient, energy efficient, and the building being airtight. And for Passive House Premium, you have to generate 4 times the energy you use.
So it's like a miniature power station.
It's exactly that. On a sunny summer's day, we'll be supplying over half the village with its electricity, just from this one house.
That's amazing. But how much do you buy into this?
Frankly, I'm not even sure I really knew what a passive house was when we embarked on this. But having learned, I think it's admirable.
Because you're the first to do this in the country, how do you know it's going to work?
We don't.
This experimental powerhouse was originally designed by one local architect and modified by Duncan with a second architect. On a stepped site cut into the hill, Duncan will use shallow polystyrene trays filled with concrete to form insulated slabs and retaining walls. The continuity of the thick insulation under and around the building is essential to make the airtight and energy-efficient house needed for Passive House certification. A basement steel frame and concrete decks for the floor above follow. Then comes the structural insulated timber panels to form the superstructure. It'll be hard to assemble, huge and geometrically challenging, with 3 pitched roofs as asymmetrical as the 8 glulam portal frames that Duncan's introduced. There's more insulation to come, plus a 23-metre wall of heavily shaded triple glazing to the south to drink in the sun's heat in winter. Duncan and Liz don't want their home to flaunt its green credentials. It'll be luxurious with 5.5-metre ceilings and monumental stone walls. But their home will be high-tech green, with a recycled paper and plywood kitchen overlooked by a yoga mezzanine for Liz. The long pitched roof on the west side will contain a library and a sitting room reaching out towards the horizon. While under the third easterly pitched roof will sit 2 studies and a garage. Duncan's also added a helical staircase down to the lower floor. 4 bedrooms and bathrooms will radiate out from it, alongside a dressing room for Liz and a wine cellar for him. But the gold star here is getting Passive House Premium. Duncan has to generate 4 times the energy he needs. The plan was to stack the 660 square metre roof with solar panels, but Duncan is set on a new solar fabric instead. A plant room will direct their electricity to the house, the car, and back to the national grid. But the ambition is set at an all-time high here, especially given the scale. The house is nearly 800 square metres. I would like you to go and stand where the corner of the building is. And if you don't mind, Liz, if you don't mind standing where that corner is, and I'll sort of hover in between you. Oh, my word, it's a heck of a long way.
Am I in the garage, sweetheart?
He can't hear you, it's so far away.
Yeah, right.
So, where are you now?
So the bedrooms are all along here.
I don't understand why it's so big.
Because it was designed that way and we couldn't face going through another battle with the planners to build something sensible.
My word. Do you not think it's going to be a monster?
No, I think if we get it right internally, it should just feel homely. That's the dream.
It's terrifying. I have to ask you how much the whole thing you think is going to cost.
We've got a budget of 1.2 million.
What happens if it comes in at 1.4 or 1.8?
I keep working.
That's the first resort. So the dynamic here is that Liz is the client, and I'm the project manager.
I stress about money and he says it'll be fine.
Cash flow isn't all down to Liz. They have 2/3 in savings, and they'll also take out a loan on their London pad. How long do you reckon to build? In your mind, Liz?
I think at least 2 years. He says 18 months. And what's your weakness, darling?
Finishing.
Yeah. I'm not moving in till it's finished to my standard.
OK, it's interesting to know this early doors, Duncan, because we can then hold you accountable.
Yes, please.
Wow. Passive House Premium, eh? But you see, I think that's where we are all going, because this house is the future. It will generate 4 times more energy than it needs. It will be super efficient. And if you can bring it in, this project will be epic. Duncan wastes no time. Days later, he's carving out monster-sized footings with a local groundworker, Sam.
When this build came about, there was a few people that weren't over the moon about it. It's going to be a horrific-sized house, but that's up to him to live in.
It's also going to be horrifically exacting.
Passive House Premium detailing starts with the foundations. We need them to be very, very level so that the structure fits on top of it without any gaps. If we don't build accurately enough, we won't hit the air tightness criteria, we won't get Passive House.
It is all Duncan's responsibility.
I've got to do something. I've forgotten to measure it.
He has a tiny 2.5 centimetre tolerance across a 50-metre site. It's easy to dig too deep.
I think we cut it too low. We need to put some back.
And this is just day 1. It's a month later. Duncan, all 6'2" of him, has been staying in this pub garden while he sorts out a rental.
It's tiny, but it's warm, it's dry. Bed's comfortable. But obviously I miss Liz.
Duncan spends weekends with Liz in London, but today she's getting a train up to inspect the site.
Picking Liz up is it's going to be interesting. She hasn't been to the site for weeks and it's changed hugely. I think she's going to get a big, hopefully surprise, not shock.
Liz is the client here, dependent on updates from her project manager.
Hello, how are you doing?
Very good.
But there's still room for energetic debate.
But it's still your idea to have a dry stone wall going around the parking area around the garages, is that right? Coming from the front? Coming from the in?
No, as we discussed last night, we're going to do that with gabions.
Well, that's why I wasn't exactly sure. Don't patronise me, you twat.
These two don't seem to be quite on the same page.
Let's come and have a look at what we've done.
So this is it, yeah? My God! Holy shit. I hadn't envisaged anything this I hadn't envisaged anything this big. Oh,
It is quite
it's
chunky.
huge. Come on, we could literally build a shopping centre in there. So hard to imagine. I'm staggered. I really am. Okay.
And this is just half the house's footprint. In the Cotswolds, Duncan, our wizard environmental consultant, is getting his radical eco-home out of the ground. He's now 3 months into this 18-month project. Hiya, how are you?
Very good, thanks.
Today, Duncan's team are finishing the insulated trays that'll hold the first slab. So this structure, which is made, you can hear it squeaking, it's made out of expanded polystyrene, and that acts as a tray for that much concrete.
Yeah.
They use so much less concrete.
Exactly that. We've got 4 slabs going in. This is by far the smallest.
Yeah.
It's also outside the passive house envelope, so we're doing it first. Basically, if we make a mistake with this, it's not that disastrous. Whereas once we're into the passive house part, it's disastrous.
The one thing you can't compromise is the thermal insulation.
Exactly. It's like a wrapper all the way around.
Yeah. Getting this mammoth structure airtight, a must for his Passive House Premium certification, will be a minefield. So, surely Duncan, without any experience, has picked a specialist architect. Hello. You've got yourself an outdoor office. No. He's appointed Lawrence Becker. He met her on a Passive House course.
I'm not ashamed to say I've never been great at maths. I failed the Passive House designer test, but there are 2 ways to get your... No. There are 2 ways to get Passive House certification as an architect. Build a Passive House or pass a test. The test is notoriously hard.
But building one will be no walk in the park either. It requires rigorous external assessment.
This is the Passive House planning package. Within this book, there are at least 30 spreadsheets.
Oh, wowzer. You've got performance data for every pane of glass, every
pane of glass, basically, yeah.
So if he changes the windows,
Every change has to be
go
inputted
into this.
this.
And you have to do that. I mean, if it drops below a certain standard, you just know you're not going to get
We're not going
certified.
to get it, no.
Your role is integral to the success of the building getting its accreditation. Yes?
Yes, it scares me sometimes. I wake up at night and think, oh, have I done this? Have I done that? But that's what makes it interesting.
Blimey. And the colossal size adds to the challenge. Even pouring the concrete walls on Duncan's first slab 3 weeks later is problematic. They're so tall, he's had to leave the insulated formwork at half height at 1.5 metres tall to make sure the concrete gets to the bottom.
As soon as the guys have filled it up to half a metre, we're putting these polystyrene blocks that we've got lined up. We're building up more wall behind them. And the idea is that we stay ahead of them and we don't get lapped. If we really can't stay ahead of them, we're going to waste the concrete.
And so this risky game of cat and mouse begins. It immediately becomes hectic. Most blocks fit, but some don't.
We're slipping behind. They're half a wall ahead of us at the moment.
There's a greater worry. The higher the concrete, the bigger the pressure. Suddenly,
Oh shit. Okay.
everything has to stop while they fix the rupture.
So the risks, if we continue, we're putting more weight into the wall will burst somewhere.
Splitting the concrete pour over several days could compromise the strength of this retaining wall.
See, there's a slight bulge.
So once it's propped, Duncan is itching to finish the job.
Do we feel brave or do we not?
So at 4 p.m, he decides to go for it. It seems nuts.
Oh, hell yeah, this is definitely a risk. So what we're banking on is that the first concrete that's gone in is now starting to cure.
It's up to Sam, the ground worker, to cautiously pour the last 9 tons. But would he have made the same call?
Probably not, because it's not worth a risk, but I'm not a risk taker that much. It's not my decision.
30 anxious minutes pass, and it's still standing.
All the concrete has gone in pretty much. We're just putting the last bits of rebar in. I think we got away with it.
What a lucky escape. Duncan now feels reassured to pour more concrete, while he also finishes plans with Lawrence.
I did have to move one of the beams so that the saw pipe could go down and across.
Yeah, I saw that.
Within 6 months, the basement and ground floor slabs are in. And then nothing happens for weeks, except some dry stone walling by the assistant site manager, Jasmine.
I'm a little frustrated that we're about 2 months behind schedule, I think. And that's a mix of reasons. We've got a very complicated build, and we appointed 2 contractors, and managing the interfaces between them has just taken a long time.
They're still stuck in the design phase, with their drawings bouncing from site to David, who's local and supplying the steel frame, and Gary in Shrewsbury, whose firm is responsible for all the timber structure.
It's been a bit of a journey, I have to say. It is quite complex in the shape, the geometry of it. I would say the most challenging passive house scheme we've been involved with personally, yes.
We'd normally expect to design this in about a month. It's taken us about 3 months, I suppose. I think it's mainly because of all the changes we've had to make, and also coordinating with the other people working on it.
But David has now done the hard part, so within days, 10 tons of steel at £29,000 is finally being craned into the basement floor. Liz is paying her once-a-week client visit.
I don't want to get hit by steel, I'm retreating.
While Liz heads to the sidelines, Duncan takes a front seat.
This is really exciting to see. We've waited a while for this, so it's great to see it all happening now.
Duncan and Liz are experiencing the project very differently.
I've been really quite divorced from what's been going on site, and Duncan sends me photos and we talk about it. We talk about virtually nothing else, in fact. But even so, not being here, not living it with him makes a big difference. And it is a strain on a relationship.
But Duncan's focus is elsewhere. Now the steel is taking shape, he needs to get the drawing signed off for the huge wooden superstructure that comes next.
We've got 1 or 2 important issues that we're just trying to clarify. And then from the moment we sign off, it's 8 weeks.
But in the following days, as concrete beams for the ground floor are hoisted onto the finished steel frame, the drawings are still not finalised. Working late at his firm one evening, Duncan is gloomy.
Just a quick update for you. I had a pithy conversation yesterday with the timber frame company. He'd promised the drawings early part of this week, and they haven't turned up again. And he said, that's our fault, apparently, because it took us so long to sort the steel out.
We haven't changed anything since we sent them.
No, so that's just disappointing, but there's not a lot I can do other than have conversations with him.
Throughout this project, Duncan and Liz have battled with the restrictions of the COVID pandemic, leaving Liz increasingly isolated in London.
Gosh, you're in the office.
Yes, that's right. I'm fixing IT.
Video calls are just not the same as him coming home in the evening and actually being able to have a real shared life together. We just don't at the moment. I do get lonely and I miss Duncan. It's just me and the cats now.
Liz does go to her office, but it's nearly empty.
I'm not exaggerating, I've been quite depressed by it. Just literally getting up, going to work, coming home, going to bed, getting up, going to work. I've found it very challenging.
For Liz, the move to her new home can't come soon enough. But a glorious summer passes with no sign of the timber frame. It takes till autumn, a year in, for the £240,000 structure to arrive. and Duncan is giddy.
I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. The original date we were given for this arriving is 19 weeks ago. Now at least it's here and we're moving forward. So I'm just really happy it's here.
So is Gary, who's responsible for this timber structure. He is, however, convinced he's on schedule.
I'm not really sure we are late, if I'm honest. We don't make anything until it's physically approved. In other words, Duncan signed it off, so we're about 10 weeks from approval to starting on site.
Well, I hope these two are on the same page in the design phase, because the timber has to fit Duncan's slabs precisely.
That means the pressure is on me. If it's in the wrong place, you know, that's my mistake.
Normally, the base and panels marry easily, but not here.
We're finding we're about sort of 40 to 50 mil out of where we thought we were going to be.
Apprehensive.
A 3-metre drop between floors and 600 square metres of panels make it hard to align it all.
I think it will be 50 mil too short.
Precision has to be key.
Yeah, spike that side. Basically, we don't want gaps. Gaps are not good. Gaps are bad.
It's worrying that Duncan won't know if it's fully gap-free until the final air tightness test, but at least he has the satisfaction of seeing his house take shape.
Just taken a photograph and sent it to Liz. I've been trying to keep her updated.
It's a good thing too, because by week 5 the changes are breathtaking, as in come the 8 giant portal frames.
It just looks amazing. I mean, we're finally seeing a 3D building. Each of these frames is asymmetrical. They're all slightly different. And that's purely just a visual thing, just for interest, just for fun.
I love it. I am concerned it's not big enough.
Duncan doesn't, however, get to rest on his laurels. His dream to be the UK's first passive house premium home rests on his solar roof, generating 4 times the energy it needs. But the innovative solar fabric he's found might fall short by his current calculations.
See here, the roof is a zigzag. So it's got 6 faces, and each one shades the one next to it. Right now, we either fail by about 2% or we pass by 2%. It really is on that knife edge. It is the key to whether we achieve Passive House Premium or not. I will be absolutely devastated if we don't get this. It is such a key part to the whole building.
The problem here is that Duncan's asking a lot from this solar roof. He wants it to be super efficient, affordable, and beautiful. So he's discounted traditional panels, and instead he's looking to newer, invisible tech like solar tiles or fabric. But it's a rapidly evolving field. This £17.5 million home in London is Aiglon House, inspired by the iconic Maison de Verre in Paris. It has wonderfully hidden eco-credentials. So these solar panels are sort of from another world, really. They're generating electricity, but you can actually see the sky through them. It seems to be of the future. It's only 5 years old, but it's already been surpassed by more advanced models. And this is the dilemma Duncan's facing. But he's prepared to invest in the future, pay the money for a system which, after all, may be out of date in 5 years. He's also prepared to accept a system which may not be quite as beautiful as this. But the one thing he dreads, if he doesn't get Passive House Premium, if he doesn't get enough solar on his roof, then he has unutterably failed. Tallinn, Estonia. Having failed to find a UK solar roof material that was beautiful, affordable and potent enough for his mini power station house, Duncan has flown here.
The roof has proved more problematic than I thought. We did have a UK supplier and we've had some issues with them, and hence coming to Estonia to look at an alternative.
Instead of the invisible solar fabric he'd wanted, the alternative is more obvious. Glass and metal roof tiles. They're about 60% cheaper. A great saving if they work.
So this is your overall design of your roof surfaces and planes. You see we have all the trees that has to be there.
Jan is calculating how much energy the roof will generate, but accuracy is key.
That's actually not a chimney. It's a soil vent pipe.
All right.
And those two don't exist.
Any shading trees need to be to scale too, as they'll affect electricity generation.
So how high have you put those trees?
I think high enough.
Because the trees on the east side are mature ash trees. They're about 40 metres high.
The height of them is not 40 meters.
Clearly, working long distance will be challenging, but Duncan wants to go ahead.
I'm taking on a lot more risk in doing this, but there's a cost saving for me, which hopefully makes it worthwhile.
Indeed, Duncan's already spent £800,000 of his £1.2 million budget, and he's still building the basic structure. For the next few months, Duncan and his assistant site manager Jasmine prep the enormous 660 square metre roof to receive its solar skin.
We good?
Yeah, that's good for me. And by the time we finish, we'll have put 1,600 pieces of insulation in, 500 pieces of wooden board, and 4 kilometres of roof batten, which is this stuff on the roof.
Surely he could subcontract this tedious bit of work.
We're doing this because, well, because we can. It's fun. Beats working.
Just keeps us busy.
He's even designed the upstand for this. The enormous £9,500 skylight for the stairwell.
This is the widest bit of glass, weighs very nearly a tonne. The upstander has to support it, and it's the first one I've ever built.
Yeah, just that end slightly before this, yeah.
And I'm just worried that this frame starts buckling, which would break the glass, or the whole lot just starts moving south. Neither's a good result for me.
If it fails, the cost of this crane, these men, this glass, is around £20,000.
Yeah, the next 5 minutes are going to be literally make or break.
Just trying to check that before we drop it on the width. You happy it's that way? Okay, yeah.
Painfully and slowly, the glass is eased in.
Okay, should we lower it down?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm down.
Down.
And she's in.
So far, so good.
Yeah. But they're still holding it on the crane at the moment, so we're not quite at the last moment of truth.
Look at that.
Definitely happy.
Duncan is 18 months in, and he should be finished by now, but he's only halfway. However, there's more here than meets the eye. This house is deceptive and cunning. From the lane, all you see is what looks like a tractor shed, yeah? But actually, underneath the folding roofs of this building, it grows towards the south. Look at it, this giant space. Architecturally, it's extremely exciting, but it is huge. Broaching a sensitive subject, you said you'd be finished by now.
We are a little bit behind schedule. The timber frame arrived late, and then the building's a very complicated shape.
The roofs are doing that, and they're doing that, and they're doing this and that.
Exactly. So there's an awful lot to align and try and get right.
And tell me about the money, then.
I think we are under budget at the moment, aren't we?
We are under budget, yeah.
How so?
The big saving so far has been the Estonian roofing system. And in really simple terms, almost the longer we spend building this, the less expensive it gets, because the more Jasmine and I do, and, you know, my time is free.
Just as well, really. The next step of sealing the house airtight is onerous and will take months. But Duncan thinks a new product will help. Now, ordinarily, you'd be taping all of these joints.
Yeah, every single joint in the external walls of the building, we'd have to meticulously tape. Where we've brushed is where we've got quite a deep groove, and we want to get something a bit gloopier and a bit thicker than we're going to spray. And then the expanse in between, we just spray over. It allows idiots like me to do it.
Or me. This spray-on airtight layer prevents leaks, allowing the insulation to really do its job and minimise the heating down to passive house required levels. Duncan has 900 square metres of spraying ahead of him. You're going to get really sick of this colour.
That's for sure.
What follows is some slower painting and more glazing. At last, 26 months in, it's watertight, and Liz is able to get involved with the interiors. But it's a heck of a pad to kit out.
I've never ever had to deal with a space this big and tall, and it's quite daunting.
They've consulted an interior designer because they can't seem to agree on very much.
I mean, I'm slightly reluctant to go with the very light one because I'm worried it's going to make it feel very cold.
Like you, I think the slightly darker colour works better.
Now I don't know that though, because now I'm thinking it just looks a bit like somebody's peed on it.
The client is not as decisive as she could be.
I don't know.
It's even harder choosing between their two kitchen layouts.
So let me have a look.
The two options for the kitchen, one has one island, one has two islands. I'd like to see two. I think Liz would like to see one. With the two island option, you can put your sink and your hob out here, and then you have your guests sitting here. To be fair, she really struggles to visualise how things will be.
The island isn't going to be where you've got your fat feet because you've got your wall, and then you've got to have a gap between the island and...
Liz, as it's drawn, the single island option is here.
But I know what will happen, whichever one I prefer, we will end up building the one Duncan wants. We just will. It's just easier that way now.
All talk of kitchens is put aside, though, in the run-up to Christmas. Finally, after spending a whole year designing his roof,
just a bit slippery up here today.
Duncan gets his Estonian solar panels. Including the fitters, it's costing a hefty £118,000.
The roof is the one thing that turns this from a normal passive house into Passive House Premium. So the roof is the really big innovative item on the build.
It's so cutting edge, it's the company's first UK job.
Got it.
Gert, who's in charge, is impressed with the scale.
There will be 300 panels on this roof. Plus we have 1 kilometer of cabling. I would say that this is the biggest roof that we have done.
And yet, the Estonian team want to finish in just 11 days and be home for Christmas. It means working into the winter nights.
And I say lights, like daytime or nighttime. Actually 2 rows more, and then actually we can measure the power. With those lights, I would be able to get some kind of voltage out of it. Will show me that we have still power and everything is correctly connected.
This is a really exciting moment. I want to go up and just see it.
Let's see if it's showing us something.
Yay!
God damn it, I was right.
Woo! Super happy. It's all working. That's the first power off the roof. It's a big thing.
Can I finally charge my phone then?
Of course, it's what happens during daylight hours that's going to be vital. The installers take an extra week to finish. It's just so big. From then on, the onus is connecting it inside and to the grid. By spring, nearly 3 years in, it's up and running.
I didn't think it would look this good.
This just looks like a roof. They're invisible. And are they generating well?
On a day like today, we're generating about 230 kilowatt hours. To give you an idea, a typical medium house uses about 8 kilowatt hours a day.
So that's a lot. You are the living embodiment of what excites me about self-build, which is that you are using innovative technology and making it work. Duncan still needs to prove he can make 4 times the energy they use to get his Passive House Premium prize. But this house is still so embryonic. I'm sorry to say this, but upstairs hasn't moved on a huge amount in 15 months.
Shush.
Come downstairs. It is a bit different downstairs. Follow me.
Yeah. It's just, you know, psychologically good for me. See some progress. Oh, big circular room. This is good. Very nice to see it now. I just want to see it done. The 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms are just shells with no walls or floors. First fix is barely underway. You did say you weren't going to move until it was done.
That was a while ago. I think I'm willing to compromise now just because I'm so keen to get in now.
Liz seems to have given up on Duncan completing this passion project anytime soon. You are slightly addicted to it.
I think even more than that, I enjoy the design process. And I have a real weakness where I tend to over-design and keep redesigning and reiterating. And I have to break myself out of that sometimes and realise I do need to finish things.
So where are you with certification?
We need an airtightness test.
Yeah.
We need to submit our very complicated computer model.
And
the third thing is about energy generation. We're nearer the end than the beginning.
That's such a fine philosophical way of looking at it. Man, there is so much to do on this project. There are so many kind of questions hanging over it. And the biggest is, will they get Passive House premium status and set a new benchmark for UK housing? Well, I hope so. But Duncan might take so long he won't be the first, and then he'll be devastated. So come on, Duncan, crack on. Just over 3 years ago in the genteel North Cotswolds, Duncan and Liz began their high-voltage mission to build an electricity-generating Passive House premium home, potentially a UK first.
Wow, this is beautiful. I can see why Duncan and Liz were seduced by this countryside, its rolling hills, just as I can understand why Duncan was seduced by the high environmental ambition of this project. And I also understand just how addictive building can be. You don't want to stop. And as Liz says, Duncan is not a finisher. So the question remains then, doesn't it? Just whether he can, will, or indeed has finished any of it.
I approached then with trepidation. But it's been 5 months since I was last here, so anything is possible.
Wow. Big, beautifully made walls. That's pretty. Glinting in the sun.
Looks like a building.
Albeit half-clad.
This then seems a tale of two halves. Half of it elegantly detailed, a slick, sleek roof, and an ebony timber skin. Half of it, however, undone. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Liz. Hey, Duncan, how are you both? Good to see you.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nice to
Great
see
to
you
see
again.
you. Yeah. Yeah. How have you been?
Very good, very busy.
Well, it's black and blue.
Slowly becoming blacker.
Yeah. And what I particularly like driving in is seeing two sheds. It sort of completes the illusion almost, you know?
It's definitely getting there.
Yeah. And they don't look too big either when you
Not
drive
from this angle.
in. No.
Do you try nailing the cladding on them? They look big then.
I bet you wish you built a slightly smaller house.
Absolutely.
Then it would be finished.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah. Hey, can I charge my car here, by the way?
Yes, you can.
Can I steal electricity from
Yeah,
you?
it's all up and running. It's all good to go.
That is great. Wonderful. Clean electricity from the magnificent solar roof, charging my car for free. But given the boggy, undressed exterior, I'm bracing myself for what's to come.
Come on in.
We're going in the front door.
We are
going.
indeed.
Posh. Oh, this is lovely. This is sharp and different.
We have been working hard, Kevin.
Still a little purple.
Well, we can't quite let it go. You know what it is.
But actually, you've built. These are all new, these stone walls.
Yeah, I mean, we're really pleased with the way the stones turned out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's taken a timber frame building and made something monumental of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. There are glass balustrades yet to go in, but it's already looking promising. So what about the big entertaining space next door? Holy moly! Oh, this space is a triumph. Oh, the purple's gone and the sunlight pours in and it's pretty stonking.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Though the ceilings are high, the space seems to have shrunk to a domestic scale. What will be the living room and kitchen is almost cosy. Are you living here now?
Not yet, no.
But, I mean, you furnished it.
Yeah, we're just trying to get an idea of what it's going to be like.
Well, good for you. It suddenly looks domestic. It doesn't feel like somebody's large garage.
Yes.
Do you know there's something that is so apparent now, and that is how that wall of glass is cranked so much it's swung out as though it's already opening out into the garden. It's really, it's a great thing. What's also joyful is the continuation of the epic glulam purlins through the wall to support the huge outside overhang that fans out into the world beyond. It also shades the triple glazed wall beneath in summer, while allowing the lower winter sun to heat the house. Clever design. And here, design drives the quality, upstairs and down.
Oh. This has turned out to be a beautifully sculpted piece of shell. It was looking quite clunky.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely ugly duckling. And we're slowly transforming it into a swan.
Okay, so the house isn't finished, but actually that's not the important thing right now, because today Duncan's watershed airtightness test is happening. And that's worrying, because he's just made a massive hole in the wall.
This is a pet-friendly, passive house compliant cat flap. So, cat comes along and comes up to the cat flap. And it's got seals and everything, so it's completely airtight. Then it shuts and the building is sealed again. Oh, and it's got a special safety device so it doesn't chop the cat in half.
At around $1,500, it had better work because Kim Mead, Duncan's passive house assessor, is here. He has approved the architect Lawrence's dreaded passive house planning package, and he's satisfied that 4 times the electricity needed here will be produced. But one thing remains to elevate this house to passive prime status.
Hello, Kim.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah. Hey.
You can tell it's serious because there are loads of tech boffins in attendance.
So, this is the last piece of the jigsaw?
This is the last piece of the jigsaw, yeah.
You confident?
Hopeful.
Yeah.
I am.
Hopeful. Scary requirement.
Unleash the fan.
We're off. The fan blows air into the building to pressurize all 1,600 cubic meters of it, allowing the air leakage to be measured. Modern houses score around 5 air changes per hour. Duncan has to score 0.6 or less. Yikes.
So, Jack, what is it?
So, the average is 0.415, which is
fantastic.
Good result.
Yeah.
You passed.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah, very happy.
Well, congratulations, because I think I think it's an epic building, and it's an epic result actually. To be, and as you will be now, the first in the UK.
I'm there.
No.
Thanks.
Look, I have got ahead of myself. Duncan has still got a last air tightness test to go and some final paperwork on completion, but it's nearly a dead cert. So, at what cost has this all come?
How much will you have spent by the time you get to move in?
We will have spent 1.25 million.
Okay. And the great advantage of a house like this is the running costs.
It has negative running costs. It pays us to live in it.
But the grid caps the amount of energy you can sell back to it.
That's right. So over the year, we should be able to power around 4 3-bedroom houses. Because of the cap, we're actually able to support about 2.5.
And that's surplus.
Dissipating.
Just not doing anything.
It's a battle, Kevin.
It needs a house like this to put pressure on the government to say, we need a grid that is designed to accept houses that generate electricity.
So great that you're meeting your performance targets. How are you coping with the emotional stress of all this?
It's been 3 years since we've had a shared life. 3 years since we've just sat down and had dinner and watched the television together.
There's definitely been a price to pay.
In your mind, when's it going to be done?
Define done.
Done. When snagging turns into maintenance.
Okay, 18 months.
Are you happy with that?
I will be happy with that if that is what happens.
One day soon, this will be a glorious place to live and a certified UK first.
So if you think that this house is just too far ahead of its time, then let me tell you, it's not. Because the grid is already working very hard to find ways of buying electricity back in large quantity from people like Liz and Duncan, from householders. And for another important reason too, because the self-builders of this world
are the real experimentalists, not the house builders, not developers, not housing associations. It is the self-builders who take their own money, hard-earned, they take their own sweat and enthusiasm and energy and procure some of the most innovative ideas, some of the most experimental technologies you can find in building on the planet. It's people like Liz and Duncan. They are right out there at the margins of society, showing us what the houses of the future will be. I mean, in 20 or 30 years' time, we could all be living in houses that are power stations, just like this. So for that, I salute them. Back in 2018, Lee and Richard began converting a ruined watermill into a home. Have you done this before?
No, we're complete novices. We just fell in love with it. It was instant.
But by 2021, hampered by the pandemic, the work was unfinished.
I'm absolutely knackered.
There isn't any money left.
2 years later, I'm back. That's what this building needed.